So the focus is not make Pursuit bigger, it's make me better, learn more about myself, understand more about it, get more in tune with me and my passion and what it is I'm doing, and then Pursuit follows along with it. Hey there, welcome to today's episode of The Pursuit. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that the backdrop is not the usual backdrop. If you're listening, and hopefully you can hear the birds chirping, and you can tell that I am outside somewhere. I'm in the backyard. Today is the first nice day we've had here in the Fishers. We had a couple nice days and then got a freeze, got some snow last week, or maybe even this Monday, and today was really nice. So I thought, you know what? I talked about the importance of nature. I didn't get to go outside very much today, so I'm going to record the podcast for tomorrow outside. Let everybody take in the good sounds that are going on right now. You might hear some basketballs dribbling and some other distracting noises, but hopefully it won't take away from the episode. But before we get to today's episode, I do want to highlight a few things from this week on all things Pursuit. First and foremost, I want to highlight the episode of On Our Pursuit with my friend Dwayne Gordon Jr., a.k.a. Originally Distinct. Now, he is one of my favorite artists. I've gotten into art and enjoying that and appreciating it. I have an NFT of his. I have some of his clothing brand. I've got a physical print. Just a big fan of what he's doing, and his story is very inspirational because this is an individual who graduated college like so many of us, not quite sure what we're going to do, taking a job offer that was a good opportunity, getting into real estate, and then ultimately realizing that his passion for art was something he could turn into his career. So he is a full-time artist creating on multiple platforms, multiple mediums, and that's all I'll leave it at this kind of intro to. Be sure to go back and listen to it because he drops a lot of great wisdom and things to think about in that episode, and it is the one episode I've created the most content from as far as little clips to share on social media. So check out Originally Distinct with Dwayne Gordon Jr. on Our Pursuit. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight is the Pursuit brand now has a blog. I was going to skip doing a blog, stick to the podcast, stick to the videos, have the newsletter, but leave a blog alone. And thanks to my friend Rob Petroza, who I will mention here, his interview with Bobby Hundreds, it reminded me how I had read that Bobby Hundreds was going to do a blog on chain. So creating a blog that's on the blockchain, which could therefore be turned into NFTs and other cool things. And being that I'm interested in that space and I want Pursuit to be a company that embraces Web3 in the future, I thought, all right, I'm going to start a blog and it's going to be on chain. So I set up an account at Mirror. I linked the Pursuit.eth wallet to it. So we have our own account there. There's 2 blog posts. And what I'm going to do there is kind of blog about the building of Pursuit. So I don't know if I write very much about mindset and mindfulness and passion over there, and more about the story of Pursuit, how it came to be, the story behind the logo, how I manage RLS Wealth and Pursuit, and just document more of the building of the brand, building of the community, building of the vision on that blog. So I think it'd be a good complement to the other things and give some insight. So depending on what you care about when it comes to Pursuit, there's going to be different avenues for you to learn. If you love it all, there's plenty there for you. So the best way to find that is to go to pursuit.co, head up to the headers. The menu has a blog option now, so it'll be library, which will be all of the media content. The videos, the podcasts will all live on library. The blog will take you out to Mirror, so you can find it there. And then obviously there's the shop. And I'm excited because I'm going to the local printers to work on some tests of some new gear to put into the store. So, all right, I'm down to about 17 minutes left to go into today's conversation. So let's skip all those updates and go to the conversation now. I'm not quite sure what the final title of the video is going to be, or this episode is going to be, but it's going to be something around having blinders on but not too tight. And when I speak about having blinders on your Pursuit, it's going to be very easy to look to the sides as you're going on your Pursuit to compare yourself to others. You might have peers in the profession. You might have somebody who's doing something similar to you. You may have a mentor, somebody you look up to, and you're going to look over and see where they're at. And you're going to see that their platform is bigger than yours, their business is bigger than yours, they're further along than you, and it may become a moment that sets you back. It could deter you from your Pursuit, or it could even have you turn around and go back and say, you know what, I'll never catch them. Someone else is doing it. I'm gonna give up. And I don't want that to happen. And as I tell you this, I will share that this is something that everybody maybe struggle is too strong of a word, but everybody deals with it. And I myself, and the reason I mentioned Rob earlier, I've recently had a moment of this, and I think I spoke about it briefly on a podcast earlier this week, but just moments of looking and seeing people like Rob start his very first podcast with Gary Vee. Now, Rob, although he's just now starting a podcast with Rally Road, has been at the game for a long time building this great company, and it makes sense that Rob and Gary Vee would collab on first off, an NFT project for Rally Road, getting one of the V friends in, but also just on the conversation. So it's not so much I don't want to see Rob succeed. I love seeing my peers succeed. Like nothing more. I DM'd him and let him know, hey man, I'm pumped that your podcast is out. It's awesome where you're going. But it's almost sometimes you look at, okay, I'm looking at them and I've been doing this for X amount of years and here's my platform, here's his. And you kind of get a little jealous. Jealous in a way that is supportive of them. You don't want to see them come down. It's almost like I want to catch up. Fast forward, I know his next episode was going to be with Bobby Hundreds. I listened to an old Bobby Hundreds podcast with Jay Williams, and I'm hearing passion and pursuit and all of my words and my thoughts on this podcast. And again, it's like, man, like, what do I need to do to get to that? They're so far ahead of me, questioning what it is I'm doing. And real quickly, thankfully, I'm aware of that. I have the awareness to understand, okay, that's not the way to think about this, and put the jealousy aside. Because one, their journey is different than mine, and we'll touch on that in a second. I can't compare myself to them. They're on a different journey, and it doesn't make sense to use their benchmarks to benchmark myself. Secondly, don't take that they're further ahead of me and that they are, talking about what I want to talk about. Realize that there is an audience out there that wants to improve their life, that wants to follow their passion, that if they're talking about this, people want to hear about it. And with an abundant mindset that we talked about before, there's more than enough people to hear this story. And the way that Jay Williams or the way that Gary Vee or the way that Bobby Hundreds talks about it may not resonate with everybody, but the way I talk about it may. So it's more of, this is an opportunity, keep going. So rather than let that make me doubt myself or second guess or pull back, I was able to flip it to say, no, keep going harder because people want to hear this. People need to hear this. And their platform may not reach everybody. And it doesn't matter how big mine is today that I need to be having these messages. So I share that quick story about myself because I don't want you to think that I'm telling you what to do and I'm without flaws. I'm battling the same thing I'm telling you to do. I need to put my blinders on, keep on turning on the mic, keep on turning the camera, having this conversation with you, getting feedback from you, making the pursuit as best as it can be. And then one day I'm going to wake up and I'm interviewing Gary Vee and I'm interviewing Bobby Hundreds and Russ, who I'm going to talk about in a second, the rapper, he's on the podcast. And it's not because I was trying to chase them. It's because I had my blinders on. I wasn't worried about anybody else. So have those blinders on, but don't have them on too tight. So I'm aware of the fact that this podcast is going to be a little bit of talking out both sides of my mouth. I want you to put blinders on. Don't get caught up in what other people are doing and measure yourself against them, but keep the blinders wide enough or loose enough that you can widen them a little bit to see what's going on. And what I want you to see and what I want you to look for is not, again, the metrics, but look for people who can help you on your pursuit. If you're so head down and you're not interacting and connecting and networking, you're going to miss the opportunity for somebody meaningful to come into your life. For me, I've had many meaningful people come into my life at different stages for different reasons. Some stay, some go, and I've done the same for others. But you've got to be able to be aware of these people when they come into your life, to accept them, to help each other on each other's pursuit, and then keep going. If you're down, you miss it. You also need to be available to see the signs. I've talked about signs before. Last week, or maybe it's a week and a half ago now, the 2 bald eagles that flew over us, the 36 lines that make up the logo. You may not know that whole story yet. It's in the archives. Go back and listen to the content. I'm going to write a post about it. But there's all these signs that have been guiding me towards pursuit and RLS Wealth and doing what I'm doing today, which is putting me in the happiest space I've ever been in. I've always been a happy person, but I'm just happier and at my happiest because I was able to look for the signs to tell me to keep on going, to tell me to go down this path and explore it. And okay, it's time to pull back and go down another path. So you need to be aware of the signs that are coming to you as well. And I also think it's real good to have an idea, if you do have competition out there, see what it is that they're doing and use that as inspiration. A lot of my ideas are not 100% original. The execution becomes original, but the idea itself is not always original. Case in point, doing a blog on chain. I wasn't the first person to do that. I didn't think of it. Bobby Hundreds did it. I admire Bobby Hundreds. He's ahead of the game. I like what they're doing at the hundreds. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. Let me do it. Now, the topic, the frequency, the execution of the blog, that's different. I'm not copying everything that Bobby Hundreds does. I'm not regurgitating what he says in my own words. I just put a blog on chain like he did. And one day I'll mint an NFT. He'll probably do it before I do. I want to do a Pursuit NFT project and working with a friend / client / creator to do something special there. That's not fully my idea. There's other companies out there doing it, but the execution of that NFT project when it happens will be original. It'll be me and the artists, the photographers' execution. So be aware of what's going on, learn from others, which is why you can't just be so narrow focused that you miss out on everything. There is a illustration that I'm going to throw up. I'm going to look at it on my phone real quick that I made in my visualized value inspired days when I was creating on Keynote these visualizations like Jack Butcher does. Huge fan of Jack. If Jack ever listens, shout out to Jack. You know how meaningful you are on my journey and inspiration that you provide. But you'll show it on the phone. I'll put it up here. Tyler, throw it up real quick. But it is a quote about blinders. And Defiant Ones is one of my favorite, we'll call it documentaries, about Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. I watch it probably 3 or 4 times a year. It's 4 videos, I believe, 3 or 4 episodes about their journey. But in one of the quotes, Jimmy Iovine talks about horses.
When you're a racehorse, right, the reason why they put blinders on these things, because if you look at the horse on the left or the horse on the right, you're going to miss a step. So that's why those horses have fucking blinders on. And that's what people should have. When you're running after something, you should not look left and right. What does this person think? What does that person think? No, go.
And then that goes into, in the video, goes into the 50 Cent in the club video. It's pretty cool editing. But I like this because what Jimmy's talking about is having blinders on to worrying about what other people think. What's this person think? What's that person think? That's where I think the blinders come in. Not worrying about what other people think. Also not worrying where others are and judging yourself against them. But again, where I'm going to challenge Jimmy is I think you need to have the blinders loose to where you can open them up a little bit, gain a little bit of information, whether it's an individual, whether it is new things to try, whether it's a sign from above, and then put them back on and go forward. So having the blinders on is important. And I think I'm going to end with reading from the book It's All in Your Head by Russ. I've talked about this book on social media. If you're not following me on social media, short end is Russ is a rapper. It's somebody I've followed for a while. I think Gary Vee turned me on to him. There was a moment when Gary Vee was using some of Russ's songs as intros to his videos, and I really liked his style. As I researched Russ, I loved who he was because he does it all himself. He is the producer, he is the A&R, he is the artist, he is the marketer. He just does everything himself. He's got his team, but he's 100% independent. He owns all of his music. He owns everything. And while he may not be a household name like a J. Cole or a Drake, he's having massive success, changed his family's trajectory, doing things he probably imagined he never would have done, and it's all because he followed his passion. Well, he wrote this book, and this is the most Pursuit thing I've ever read that has nothing to do with Pursuit, meaning the thoughts and the foundation for Pursuit, manifestation, going after what you want, confidence, not worrying about what other people think, believing in yourself, betting on yourself. It's all in this book. Russ doesn't know Pursuit. This was written before Pursuit. I just found the book, but it was the most Pursuit thing I've ever read. And in here, he has a part talking about having tunnel vision. So he says, have tunnel vision on a goal and keep your head down. Don't distract yourself and disrupt your momentum with a constant need to look up and around. You have to master the balance of awareness and focus. You'll know when to look up. So again, kind of tying into this theme of putting blinders on for most of the time and blocking out the things that don't really matter and also the things that you can't control, but then being aware enough of knowing, okay, it's time to look up, see where I'm at, take in some information, and then move forward with it. So I want you to put your blinders on when you've got that idea, follow that passion, go at it. Don't judge yourself against anybody else because, again, they're on their own pursuit. Their benchmarks may not be the same benchmarks you have. You may not have a goal, if we're going to go to a content world, to have the next podcast like Joe Rogan. So why would you compare yourself to the numbers Joe Rogan has? That's his pursuit. That's not your pursuit. Your content goal, if that's part of what it is, maybe you just need 50 people listening. That's it. That's your pursuit. So while 50 may not sound like a lot, for you and your goals, that's everything that you need. And again, this is something that I battle. I had a conversation today with my friend Derek Grant. Shout out to Derek. He'll be on the podcast multiple times over the life of this company and this brand. And we were just talking about how I have this internal struggle of, I believe this message and what I have to share is very important. I want more people to hear this, and I want the people who need to hear it to find the brand, to be inspired and create a better life. And when I look at these other podcasts saying what I'm saying, I'm like, damn, I don't have that reach yet. The interview with Bobby Hundreds was on Jay Williams' podcast on NPR. Jay's a former basketball player. He's got this great audience because he was a basketball player. He's well known. He's a great commentator and a great thinker and a smart person and a good businessman. He's got this podcast. It's like you need fame to get the platform. Getting somebody like a Russ on my podcast today is a tough thing to do because their manager's going to want to know what's the reach. I'm averaging 50 downloads an episode right now. I'm proud of that. The numbers don't matter to me, but to somebody like that does. So it's like I am seeking this recognition or this fame to grow my reach. I don't give a shit about being famous. Truthfully, I don't want to be famous. I don't want what comes along with fame from the accolades and look at this, look at that. What I want from that level of elevation is the reach, the ability to impact. And maybe what I'm going to realize is that my level of impact is at a different level. It's fewer numbers, but it's deeper. If you have a reach of millions of people, yes, you might inspire a handful of people, but you might only inspire them a little bit. And maybe my reach is confined to thousands of people, but the impact that I have is much deeper and more personal because of the relationship with the audience. I don't know. And ultimately, what Derek said is, just looking at the growth of Pursuit and the growth of my businesses over time has been a direct correlation to my personal growth. So rather than worrying about how do I get Pursuit to be more heard more and seen more, just focus on exploring me and growing as a person. As I grow, Pursuit is going to grow along with it. So the focus is not make Pursuit bigger, it's make me better, learn more about myself, understand more about it, get more in tune with me and my passion and what it is I'm doing, and then Pursuit follows along with it. So, again, these episodes of The Pursuit are going to be a little bit of following along on my journey building this. Pursuit is designed to help you find your passion, make it a bigger part of your life, and ultimately minimize regret and have a greater life, a happier life, a more fulfilled life. I'm doing that by following my passion, which is creating and having these conversations and hopefully inspiring and the things that are going to come with Pursuit. So it's pretty cool, I think, that the goal of the business is executed by me doing what I'm encouraging other people to do. I'm eating my own cooking. I'm practicing what I preach. So I think that the Pursuit, this Friday episode, is just going to be me sharing what I'm learning, me building in public in a sense, sharing my own personal pursuit, letting you see the human side of the building of the pursuit and what I'm going for. I'll always be transparent. I'll probably share more with you than you care to know about the pursuit, but that's what these are going to be. And then from time to time, I pull people in like Dr. Cherry, like going back to the archives and bringing my friend Jeremy Walter in. I've got guests lined up for Pursuit as well, but then also having On Our Pursuit where the focus is on the guest. So I'll wrap things up here. I'm bumping up against the 20 minutes, so I don't want the camera to cut off and have to worry about messing with that editing. Make it easy for Tyler, but also make it all just clean and get you on to your weekend. So as always, I want to thank you for joining me for the episode. I want to thank you for the support. The feedback has been great and is helping me guide Pursuit in the right direction. I'm loving every moment of this. If you can't tell, Pursuit is something that is coming up a lot in my client meetings at RLS Wealth, which is pretty cool to see the intersection of those two. And I think ultimately they both grow together as well, which will be a pretty neat thing as well. They are connected, but they're separate. So enjoying this. Appreciate you coming along for the ride. I'm very appreciative and grateful to have the opportunity to join you on your pursuit. And eventually I'm going to find the perfect ending phrase to clean it up so I'm consistent on the ending. But for now, we're going to keep on going with let's keep on this pursuit together, and we'll see you on the next episode.